Hello everyone, the Nerdy Steve here, and today I will be featuring a mono blue spirit list in Explore. The deck is in the description below. I'm going to talk a little bit about the plan of the deck and then we'll play a couple of games. So, let's go. This deck is kind of designed to get out on the gate very early with our very cheap creatures, and then once we have a couple of things on the board, we want to use our counter spells or slip out the back or Shacklegeist to kind of control what our opponent can cast and what resolves. And with the Shacklegeist, any creatures that are resolved, we can tap down and control while we attack with our other creatures. So ideally, we want to get a turn one, Mausoleum Wanderer, or maybe even Ascendant Spirit, because once we have those on the battlefield, we can, with Mausoleum Wanderer, kind of control what instants and sorceries get resolved, or with the Mausoleum Wanderer, again, our other spirits will now buff this creature, and we get to deal more damage more quickly. With Ascendant Spirit, that's kind of the same thing. We can put our mana in at very specific times to deal a lot of damage. But speaking of Ascendant Spirit, a lot of the cards in this deck use our mana at instant speed. So with Rattlechains, Spectral Sailor, and all of our counter magic, and with Rattlechains letting all of our other spirits, be cast as though they had flash, we're able to kind of use our mana at the end of our opponent's turn, so that way we can, keep up all of our counter magic up. We can keep up our Ascendant Spirit activations up, or, draw a card with Spectral Sailor. So we want to apply pressure to the board early, and then use that mana in ways that forces our opponent to have to play into our counter magic and forces our opponent to be proactive. Otherwise, we are going to just overwhelm our opponent with our slightly ever growing board state of really small spirits. And that's kind of the basic gameplay. Obviously, there's a lot more intricacies, but maybe we'll see those in the game. So let's play some. All right, we will keep this, and I know this will be a really good hand. Or a good game. Because we have such a great start. We have Mausoleum Wanderer with a Curious Obsession, or it could have been an Ascendant Spirit with that as well. We're gonna sacrifice it in response. Or actually, maybe not. Maybe we don't want the Mausoleum Wanderer in our graveyard. Just because if it gets exiled, we can, it's... Our opponent maybe has Cemetery Keeper or something that, wants to exile a creature from our graveyard. So maybe we shouldn't have done that. Goblin Chain Whirler. I think we're gonna have to take the L here. Because I want to Spectral Sailor and then Curious Obsession and then protect this. Like, we could have slipped out the back to save it and then enchanted it, and it could have been, like, somewhat protected. And attacked and gone through because our opponent wouldn't have blocked, but I'm not a big fan of that. We're going to counter the Annex. So there's a lot less pressure on us. We're in a decent spot here. Our opponent could have a lot of different things, but right now we are making them have to be very proactive, right? And that's kind of a good thing for us. Oh, and a fervent champion. Let's do the Rattlechains, and then we'll give that hexproof, and then we'll use the Shacklegeist to tap the Chain Whirler. We'll take one from the champion, but that's fine. Would love to not draw another land. So right now we can, if our opponent has Ember Cleave, we can flip out the back, but wow. Let's draw a card here, I think. I don't want to double slip out the back, because then we just, like, die on the attack back. If we drew a Supreme Phantom, that would have made our decision much easier, because we have lethal. If we slip out the back to Torbran, we save a lot of damage, so that's just what we're gonna have to do. Huh. This isn't good. This is the opposite of good. We'll do this. Our opponent goes to 5. We'll draw. So we have 2 points of interaction and 2 blockers, depending on what our opponent does. That's not good. Alright, if we return Torbran here, we go to 4, then our opponent recasts it, we can slip out the back and block that and that. Yeah, so that's what we're going to do. So we're going to return Torbran in response, so we only take 1 damage and not 3 from Kumano. Right. Our opponent... Probably... This is telling me it's probably an Ember Cleave. So we will Ascendant Spirit. And we will chump block like so. Alright. I don't... So the problem is, we're gonna lose on our turn if this is what happens. Right? If our opponent does have an Ember Cleave and puts it on the Fervent Champion. Maybe our opponent doesn't put it on the Fervent Champion. Oh, it doesn't matter, right? So... Oh, no. No. All right, we're good. We're good, because this will not die now. And we have lethal. We have 5 damage. That was all good. We're fine. Oh, and we drew the Supreme Phantom anyway, so GG. Oh my god. Okay, this is... Not having a turn 1 play is a little, not great. But the Supreme... Of course we draw that. Supreme Phantom is going to be really wonderful here, because if our opponent can't kill this, which, is actually very likely they can, we can then Curious Obsession it and Geistlight Snare. Keep Geistlight Snare up, so even if we don't draw a land from the triggered ability, we can still protect it, and then we're just going to be drawing cards down the line. Burning Tree Emissary. Robber, okay. So that's nice. I would love to draw a land here. Also, Robber is kind of an interestingly awkward card against us. Besides the reach and everything, it can... It sometimes is just very reliably attacking and triggering and getting, like, maybe counter magic for our opponent. And that's the last thing we want our opponent to have going on. Right? So... like, not drawing a land there is gonna greatly, down the line, really mess us up on the mana we have and the cards we have in our hand, and that can compound. I mean, obviously, anyone who knows that, but sometimes just, that's not good. Fanatical Firebrand. So this is the awkward spot here where I kind of feel obligated to counter it just because I want to use our mana. And so that's what I'm gonna do here. It saves us on, like, a couple damage. But we really just want to use our mana here, because if we don't draw a land, I want to cast the Curious Obsession and the Ascendant Spirits to block. Alright. So we're gonna attack, draw a couple cards. 1, 2, beautiful. And so at least now these can block the Robber. And Embercleave is still very unfortunate for us. Very unfortunate. Tobrin is pretty good as well. Good news here, that trades. We can attack here. Our opponent might just block. No, so we're gonna draw some cards. Beautiful. 1. Would love some counter magic. And of course, no counter magic, right? Let's say go. And now we have to figure out if we can play around an Embercleave. If it's worth playing around the Embercleave. Goblin Chain Whirler. That will deal 3 damage to the spirit. So, okay. What I want to use is probably like a Spectral Sailor to block. In that case, we only take 8 damage. Don't get anything. Oh, that's actually really terrible. Because it means we just couldn't try and chump, or not chump, like take a bunch of damage and then go for lethal in the air because our opponent has a blocker. And that's just not good for us. We could activate the Faceless Haven. 3. No. We'll attack here. I think we need to leave have 2 blockers. 3. And we wouldn't have had lethal otherwise. Ooh, what's in our opponent's hand? Is it a 1 damage burn spell? Because that would be wonderful. Let's go for this now. Our opponent's at 8. And now we'll see what's up. So I don't think we can beat an Ember Cleave here. And we do have to double block because we'll take 5 damage from either the Torbran or Chain Whirler and then 2 from the Ruins. So I guess we don't even really have an option, right? If our opponent has an Ember Cleave, our opponent has Ember Cleave. Annex, okay. That's not good. That's not good at all, everyone. So we just have to attack with our Supreme Phantom. Rattlechains can block anything, right? Okay. And then... we do this. Okay. So, Den of the Bugbear, I think that's lethal if our opponent activates Den of the Bugbear. We don't have enough creatures to live through an activation of the Bugbear, and the Goblin token is lethal. Yeah. Because our opponent's going to attack with everything. Maybe we can draw a Slip out the back to phase out the Torb. Because that would have saved us. But we didn't draw it, so... yeah. GG. Alright, this is a really, really good hand. We get to Ascendant Spirit. And then our next turn, if it lives, which hopefully it will, we get to Curious Obsession it and protect it with Slip out the back. And this is going to be really, really hard for our opponent to kind of not... I don't want to say come back from, because it's not such a huge... you know... we're not so far ahead, but this is like as ideal a start for us as it possibly could be. And we are very, very happy for that. We would like to get more counter magic, obviously. Because if we just draw lands, then our opponent can beat us. But if we can just start drawing counter magic, we can just counter their next Angels, their Coco, which is very, very likely to happen. We'll discard a land. And we're in a really good spot here. If we didn't have this Geistlight Snare, I'd feel a lot worse. But we're fine. Temple of Plenty? Okay. Because the worst thing that could happen is if a collected company resolves. So we'll do this. And this. I'll attack. And then we can make it a really, really big creature to kill it. And we still have our Slip Out the Back and Geistlight Snare if we need to, if we're worried about anything. And for this turn, I am not. But maybe next turn, because now we can't counter that collected company. So our opponent can... Ooh. Our opponent is not blocking, which allows us to draw some cards, which, you know... Again, not ideal. Now I have to figure out... Angelic Overseer... I think I want to stop our opponent from gaining... Oh, I guess we don't necessarily mind the gaining of the 2 life. Do we? No, I don't think it's worth that. Maybe it is. Giada. Again, we can't really do anything about Giada, sadly. So now we will Spectral Sailor. Do we want to... I guess I want Rattlechains out, yeah. Again, none of this is ideal. We've drawn a lot of our lands. Yep. Oh, do you know what? I probably should have activated the Faceless Haven. That may have been a mistake. Lunarch Veteran? Okay. That is gonna gain a lot of life here. So maybe I should flip out the back the Valkyrie. Our opponent doesn't gain with Resplendent Angel. Okay. now. Oh, this is not good. And our opponent knows it's not good because we're drawing a lot of lands. Yeah. Go. Not much we can do, sadly. That's gonna... That might just be game, everyone. We needed that lofty denial. Well, there we go. Let's attack with that. So our Ascendant Spirit doesn't die. Or the Curious Obsessions don't die. But now our opponent can just activate Spectral Haven. Maybe we should have activated it during the upkeep. But I don't know. I feel like the tables have turned a little bit here. So what does... That still isn't enough. We just won't block it. We'll take it, and we'll cry about it. Yep. Mm-hmm. Alright, we will tap that. We will tap that one. Let's see. Oh. Got him. 1, 2. Alright, we have to... I wish we kind of did that during the upkeep last time. But that has to block or tap that down. This has to tap that down. And your opponent should just probably attack with everything, but... Didn't attack with that angel. Collected Company. We will lofty denial the Collected Company. Sadly, we're still very much... Oh, I didn't block. I counted how many attackers. Alright, GG. We tried. Thank you for watching me play some Mono Blue Spirits in Explorer. I hope you enjoyed these games. They were very, very close. And I think, our losses, we may have gotten a little bit on the unfortunate side of things. But, that's magic for you. I do love this deck, though. I think it is... There's so much to do with your mana, and there's so much planning and a lot of intricacies and cool tricks with, how you want to use slip out the back, how you want to, tap things down with Shacklegeist, and there's a lot of risk and reward and navigating the games, which I love. I think it's great, and this deck is just fun and awesome, and I would highly recommend playing it if you can, because not only is it good, I think I've said this again in previous videos, but types of decks like this really require you to navigate them with such precision to get the most out of everything that it forces you to be a better Magic player, right? And so that's just something I think everyone can benefit from, because playing against these decks can always be a little frustrating, right? But when you begin to play those decks, you learn the ins and outs and how, you know, it's not as easy. And so when you can play these decks well, you know how to play against them well. And that's a good thing for everyone involved. But with that being said, if you haven't already, you should totally like, comment, subscribe. Those are great ways to help support me and this channel. You can also watch me stream live at twitch.tv/TheNerdySteve. And yeah, I hope you have a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening wherever you are. And thanks for watching. Bye.